From Timmons Arena on the campus of Furman University, this is the 2016 SAC basketball tournament here on the SAC Digital Network. Our final game of the day, men's semifinal, the number 3 seed Wingate Bulldogs against the number 2 seed Queens Royals. Let's take a look at our tournament bracket as Lincoln Memorial advancing to the SAC championship game with a big win over Newberry. The Royals and Bulldogs trying to make their way to the SAC title game to take on the Rail Splitters. That's coming up tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And with that, we welcome you courtside alongside Brian Staten. I'm Ryan Brown. Thanks so much for joining us. LMU in the SAC title game, Brian. So a matchup of Queens and Wingate, both won on their home floor. Should be a fun one today. A really, really tough battle we expect.
Contrast to styles between these two teams. Wingate, the stingiest against any team that likes to be offensive. They only allow 71 points a game. They're second in the conference, allowing teams shooting just 41%. Meanwhile, Queens averages 88 points a game, and they're third best in the league, shooting 51% from the field. As the old adage is, something's got to give today.
Let's take a look at our impact players. First, for the number 3 seed Wingate, it's Mike Baez. The freshman had to have been a running for the freshman of the year, with his team finishing in 3rd place. He had a big night on Wednesday against Carson Newman.
You know, a career high 25 points in that contest. Twice this year he's snatched 13 rebounds. Named to the all-freshman team, he scored 20 or more points in 4 of his last 7 games. And in the last 4 games, he's been averaging 20 points a contest. I'd say that Mike Baez has come to fruition for Coach Good.
We'll see how he handles the big stage here at Furman. On the other side, Rob Lewis, the transfer for Queens. Another solid year for Lewis, first team all-conference.
He started 57 consecutive games here for Queens. 22-point effort on Wednesday night, 8 of 15 from the floor. One of the best scorers in the league, 18.6 points a game. Shoots the ball well from the field at 45%, primarily because he can get to the rim. No matter his size, he's able to go against anybody that most teams put on him.
So Baez and Lewis, your players to watch. Queens and Wingate, your team to watch. Coming up next on the SAC Digital Network, it's the final game of the day from Furman University.
Number 11, a junior guard, Anthony Doyle.
And we welcome you back inside Timmons Arena. Alongside Brian Staten, TJ Harrell, director, I'm Ryan Brown. Queens and Wingate coming up as the starting lineup is being announced here in Timmons. Again, both these teams in the top 3 of the league. You look at Bart Lundy in the background, and his 8th season overall, but taking over the all-time coaching wins lead. And there's Brian Good, the Wingate head coach, also in his 8th season, a former Queens coach. 126 wins for Good. So Brian, get your comments again here as we're just about ready for starting lineups. We'll talk about the first meetings, but Keith Griffin a big factor. Brian Good said he was a difference on Wednesday night against Carson Newman. We'll see how he handles the big men inside for Queens, and we'll see how the Wingate guards can deal with Bart Lundy's crew as well.
I can tell you I saw the 3rd of the 3 straight losses for Queens personally, and what I saw and noticed was the inability for Rankin, for Lewis to be able to penetrate because of Matt Schoen and Chase Mounts, 2 big guys. That's Keith Griffin. That's what he can do inside the paint. Now, if they start hitting from outside, Todd Withers, I think he's the X factor in this game, because if he opens from outside, does that force Brian Good to change his lineup in any way to try to match that up? Without Sean Morgan, he's not in the starting lineup. We're still unsure as to really what his injury may be, but it was in that game against Tusculum. He was really laboring, didn't play much of the, if at all, in the second half. He played the first overtime and the second overtime, but you could tell it really bothered him. How much is that going to play a factor? We've seen one game that's totally offensive with the LMU Rail Splitters in Newberry. Will this be the defensive game of the semifinal? One change for Queens, too, in that starting lineup, because Morgan's not going. How will that factor? Because Hendricks now is in the starting 5. He's usually their 6th man.
First possession is to the Wingate Bulldogs. 21 wins overall, number 6 in the region. Nearly a turnover. Curriton able to get it back and touch it off the window.
Immediately, Curriton goes ahead and just attacks. Morgan's not in there. Camps was laying on at the midcourt stripe, so he went ahead and attacked inside.
And right back, Queens comes. There's Withers.
That versatility that Todd Withers can bring to this team inside and score outside. Hendricks is another one of those guys who's real long, can alter shots, and be a very hard guard for this Wingate Bulldog team.
And a turnover by Wingate. Griffin was there. Curriton just couldn't find him. So again, Wingate 6 in the region. Queens number 3 after dropping from the 2 spot. Wingate lost at home. Catawba dropped 2 spots. LR the week before lost at Anderson and did not drop at all, and now they lose at home to Newberry. We'll see what happens there. Here's Withers. Got it. 5 points for Withers here early.
Really seeing the 3 well right now, 45% from beyond the arc. So this is a young man that tied the game against Tusculum with a corner 3 as time was expiring.
There's Baez's first look offensively. Driving baseline hesitation, and he steps on the baseline and it'll go the other way. So Wingate a layup and a couple of turnovers.
Well, they confused him a little bit there. I think the double team came late. It felt like he was going to be able to reverse out of that. Well, the question has been answered immediately.
And here's Morgan.
Morgan is going to check into the game for Jared Hendricks. And I just think that's a comfort factor. Even if Morgan's not 100%, Hendricks, I think, is just more comfortable coming off the bench. I don't know why that is. It's a mental thing, I believe, for a lot of players. They know their role. They're going to come in off the bench, and he'll bring a ton of energy the next time he comes in.
Morgan, one of the many transfers for Queens. Lewis from Houston Baptist. There's Rankin from Virginia Tech. Now here's Camps from Northern Kentucky, and 3 transfers combined and make it 7-2.
You know, Camps he's a big man that plays anywhere on the floor. He can handle it. He put it on the floor, and obviously he's just showing you a shooting touch.
Doyle, one of his first touches. Wingate going back to the weave offense. Shot clock down to 10. Pick and roll, and they call an illegal screen, and that's a offensive foul on Griffin, and he's not a guy Wingate can afford to get into foul trouble, and so another turnover on the Bulldogs, and all Royals so far through 2 minutes. Queens 3 of 3. Wingate 1 of 1, but 3 turnovers.
I think Griffin was set right there. I think the problem was he extended the knee.
Rankin looking inside for Morgan, led the league and field goal percentage. And nearly got Griffin in the air for a foul. They let it play, and Morgan puts in. Now Queens 4 for 4, and not a lot of energy from the blue and gold of Wingate. Queens blue and gold as well. And now Lewis the steal. And an easy layup, and timeout Brian Good. 2:45 in. It's 11-2 Queens, and the Royals are 5 for 5 from the field.
Talked about the something has to give offense versus defense here today. Well, it doesn't help you when you turn the ball over at midcourt. Doesn't help you when you turn the ball over on the baseline, stepping out of bounds. Just a tough start right now for Wingate. Brian Good's a good timeout. Go ahead and rally the troops a little bit. Just get them settled down against a good Queens team. Realize they can get back into this. They've just got to play better offensively. I think their defense will come. They've just got to be a little bit better offensively.
And how about this? 5 buckets from Queens by 5 different players so far to start. And a quick 30-second timeout. And now the Royals going to come out with a little full court pressure. Now here's Curriton going to work against Withers. Help over the top from Hendricks, and the rejection. The shot clock at 9 for Wingate. That's just a second shot so far for Wingate through 3 minutes.
Well, that's the energy I'm talking about. He comes out of the game. Morgan goes back out, and Hendricks comes in, and immediately he has more energy.
They're doing whatever they're doing.
And now it's thrown off the foot of Griffin, and yet another turnover. And Kerrigan Farley, the backup point guard, into the game to try to get something going offensively. Kerrigan Farley, the future of the point guard position for Wingate. Xavier Griffin, the only senior for Wingate, so maybe this is a year early for Wingate to get to this spot, maybe an NCAA tournament bid as well. So they're kind of, I don't want to say they're playing with house money, but this is a moment they're going to try to take advantage of. Finally get a stop.
It's good play by Curitan. He didn't have a whole lot right there. He just went ahead and went into attack mode, didn't have a whole lot of help with him, and just went ahead and went right at Jared Hendricks, and Hendricks was really stuck in no man's land.
Got the Euro step through.
Well, Bart Lundy is really using Sean Morgan. A couple of minutes here, couple of minutes there, but Hendricks came in off the bench, and immediately his energy was up, but yet another turnover for Wingate.
There's Camps off and running. He takes a body. Morgan gets the offensive rebound. He's hacked inside. And I say Wingate basketball.
Well, fortunate break. Fortunate break, I believe, there, because it looked as if there was some contact on Morgan on the shot going up at least twice, and then right there our view is obstructed just a little bit with it going out of bounds. When in doubt, just go ahead and give it to the other team that got back and played some defense.
Queens only shot 40% at Wingate earlier this year, but at home against the Bulldogs they shot 54% as Doyle comes up short, and another empty possession for Wingate. And the Bulldogs now 1 of 4, and the only bucket was Curitan's runner to start the game.
And that wasn't easy. That was a contested runner, high off the glass, threw it up well into the air just so that it wouldn't be touched by either Hendricks or Withers.
Trying to get it inside to Morgan. Instead, Lewis will pop out. Every Queens Royal has taken a shot so far. 5 have scored. Camps.
Another high percentage guy just missing short.
And that somehow squirts out to Rankin. His 3 won't go, and a rebound for Farley. So Wingate just 2 points. First media timeout coming up. Baez, a must-have bucket there. Maybe that will get the 3 seed going.
It's a good look. He had it. He was open. Went ahead and took it. His team is struggling a little bit. He's riding a hot hand.
Responded right back by Withers. He shoots 34% out there, but he's shooting it with a lot more confidence than that number. Already back-to-back threes for Withers. He's 2 for 2. And Farley responds. And Brian Good saying, hey, how about some defense down here? Queens 60%. So is Wingate, but the Bulldogs have turned it over 6 times. And a double team and a good foul there by Farley, as that will take us to a media timeout. And we'll keep it here as we'll take a look back at the season series. As touchdown lead here for the Royals, who don't have football, but maybe one day. January 20th, that game in Wingate. Lewis had a shot there at the end of the game, traveled down, and then Wingate tried to inbound it right after that. Ball knocked up in the air, game ended, but it never trailed. Big night from the Wingate bench as well. Queens able to take advantage of turnovers, and we're in that way again. Brian, just look at the second meeting, was a lot of Queens.
You talked about Keith Griffin not being in there. I think that's why there was a lot of Queens. He really is a steadying, calming force, especially in the paint defensively. Haven't been that way here to start, but Morgan doing what he does in that contest as well. Went 8 for 8, shoots 70% on the year, statistical champion, if you will, in that category in the South Atlantic Conference this season. Big 24-point outburst right there at home in the on the campus of Queens University. As a matter of fact, I was watching that game because my game was finished so early. I had a chance to watch some of that game and just watch Morgan and how he worked, and it was just what you saw right down there just moments ago. He had to work for everything he got, but what he got was inside about 3 or 4 feet. Never took anything outside of his range.
So 14-7 so far. Queens got to an 11-2 run. Wingate 5 of the last 8, but of course Withers, the 2 big threes so far.
Big difference, the turnovers, you talked about that already. 9 points off turnovers for Queens to start this game. You don't want to get off to that type of a start and put yourself in the hole that early. You talked about the Division I transfers. Northern Kentucky University making that switch to D1 just 3 or 4 years ago. Camps was a big part of that. This is a guy that's 6'5", 220, 225. You got Morgan, who's 6'6", 235, 240. Then you got the length in Hendricks and Withers that are 6'8", maybe 180, 185.
Yeah.
I mean, they have everything that you could possibly want to put together, plus another SEC transfer in Jacoby Davis, who's just checked into the basketball game out of Mississippi State.
Bart Lunding, his second year back with Queens, so trying to get back into the swing of things, and he needed to go out and get some transfers. Wingate's brought in a couple of subs, Lawler, Dominguez in there along with McCall, and Queens back into a zone and a too tight a defense by Jones. He's from Lenore, North Carolina, one of the rare high school products. Well, he's a transfer as well. Check that. Community college.
Get the program going. Bring in those kids around Charlotte. That's a nice look by Isaiah Curitan.
Mid-range jumper for Curitan makes it 15-9 Queens.
Slowly get back into it. Just play some defense. Just make it tough. Force them to take tough shots. It's a good job by McCall. Really good deep. Just forced to make a tough shot.
Wingate trying to run. Inside to McCall, and he has it stripped from behind. They say touched it last. And it'll go back to Queens. Lawler was open in the corner. Farley went inside. But again, a 6-point deficit here for Wingate here in the first 6 minutes. Winner gets LMU. And a tall task at that, but got to focus on the game at hand. How about a third three for number 33? No. Well, Farley is good of a rebounding guard as Wingate has. He's off and running. Lawler muscles it up off the window.
Well, that's not an easy shot by Lawler. He did have some help with McCall. He kind of jumped up on his shoulder and even elevated himself even more.
And an offensive foul, and it's Rankin that goes down hard. Curitan down as well.
Yeah, Curitan tried to get up, and he got hit right in that shoulder, I think, going up, maybe in the knee. Or maybe a knee to the shoulder, but he appears to be okay. Rankin slow to get up. He's working off the effects of that hard hit, too. Ouch.
Yeah, holding that right hand. He's got it heavily taped. So Rankin will go out. That's his dribbling hand, and Curitan just took that, as you said, the knee right to the stomach. So Wingate got a bucket on the other end from the reserve sophomore Lawler. They get a charge from Curitan, who leads the team in that category. Withers will get a break, as you see. And now Wingate right back within 4. The Bulldogs still shooting 5 of 7. Right at 70%, but 7 turnovers. And Baez a little bit off balance there for 3.
Good timeout, though, by Coach Good, because he got the troops settled. Focus on our defense. Our offense is there. Just make sure we stop turning the ball over. Make them take tough shots, and that's what they have done over the last couple. Withers had a pretty good look for 3, just missed it.
Now Farley the steal. And great recovery defense underneath by Hendricks. And remember, Wingate won the SAC championship in 13 and 12. The only player on that team was Xavier Griffin. So this is essentially like Wingate coming to this event for the first time. Curitan, Dominguez, the other juniors, Keith Griffin, have never played at Furman in the second round. They lost at Lincoln Memorial 2 years ago, at Queens last year, and they finally get by Carson Newman this year to get here. Curitan open, so he takes it. In and out.
It's a good look, though. Lewis, haven't heard much of him since the steal, and that's off his knee.
Lewis just 1 of 1 so far. Queens got their 11th point on a Lewis layup at the 17-15 mark, so nearly 5 minutes with just 4 points after getting 11 points in the first 2.5. Baez gets the defender in the air, and so good with the right hand for the southpaw. And Wingate right back within 2 after an 11-4 run.
It's a nice job by Wingate. They have kind of imposed their will. They have slowed this game down. They have forced Queens to be more in a half-court offense, not allowing them to get out and run, not allowing them to get really good looks from 3, for people such as Rob Lewis. I know Rankin missed an open 3. Withers missed a pretty good 3 straight away moments ago. This kid can fire it as well, and Kendall Jones.
Offensive rebound, but it's blocked by Griffin on the Davis putback. And Baez, looking at 3 white jerseys, will slow it down for Curitan. Griffin, good patience. Got it.
Again, that's Griffin's game. I'm going to slow it down just a little bit. I can hit that hook shot. You can't, and it's so tough to block, too. It's a very difficult guard there for Hendricks.
Foul underneath, as that'll take us to another timeout. And we'll step away. Back after this from Wilson. Wingate has fought all the way back. They're on a 13-4 run. We're tied at 15 in the final game of the day from Furman University.
Let's start shooting. Swish. Count it. Nice shot. Not enough on that shot. Countdown. 3, 2, 1. He puts up the shot. He nails it. He's executing beautifully. You've got to love the way he's hitting these shots today. Nothing but net. That'll go. Nice shot.
Wingate Queens, 8.5 minutes in, alongside Brian State and Ryan Brown here with you. TJ Harrell leading our great crew that been putting it together for you all day. And been an interesting day. Big wins for the top seeds in both the women and men, and a close game in the second game in the 2-3 matchup. And so far, that's where we're at right now. Xavier Griffin back in. You see Kerrigan Farley, Brian Good talking. Farley really led Wingate back.
Right. Thought his energy off the bench was really good. He comes up with a steal and a hoop, or at least a drive to the bucket. This, creating that opportunity for Wingate. But I think also, more importantly than just getting the offense in a rhythm.
Curitan, no-look pass. Griffin with the flush.
Great look by Curitan. He created that, driving away from the bucket, took another defender, and Griffin was just waiting on the weak side.
And just Wingate's second lead. They led 2-0, and they've battled all the way back. It's now a 15-5 run. Camps going to work. Offensive foul. And Curitan down again. And how about this look inside for Wingate as Griffin puts this one away all day.
Well, I like the way that Curitan, he draws the double team, and Griffin straight away from the weak side. Nobody picked him up. His man vacated the spot, and that's a great find by Curitan.
Backdoor for Doyle. Xavier Griffin trying to get to the rim, and he will. And that's the part of the game that Griffin has a little bit more than Farley as far as the physicality, but he can do that when he wants.
I like how Wingate is running their offense right now. They are really creating some spaces. They are really creating some gaps, forcing Bart Lundy to bring Sean Morgan back into the game to stop it.
That stops a 17-4 Wingate run. 17-4 after Queens started 11-2. Doyle puts in a three. His first attempt from downtown. Anthony Doyle, the redshirt junior, he's a transfer for Wingate. His second year with the Bulldogs. Had to back up the point, and now Farley here. Doyle goes to his more comfortable spot, the off guard. As can Lewis get going. He's just 1 of 1. And now Keith Griffin picks up his second. That's a big moment here. And Isaiah Curitan will get a sub here. So Brian Staten, keep an eye here. Wingate up by 4, but McCall and Dominguez, 2 reserves that have started a lot of games this year, got to come in.
Yeah, Griffin going out. He's just so physical inside, and you can see, even as physical as he is, that Sean Morgan is still able to get to the bucket. It's still not an easy shot, and we'll see if Lee McCall can kind of answer the call, as per se, here in this game with Sean Morgan.
Here's Morgan inside. And a held ball, possession arrow favors the Royals, so it'll stay here with Queens. Shot clock at 16 as Morgan pleading his case.
Baez with some good help. Morgan probably did want on a reach. Felt his arm may have been held. Morgan is going to go out. He's going to go out. He gets treatment right away. As soon as he goes out of the game, he goes to get some treatment right away for whatever is ailing him. But again, they come in with people that are so long, it'll be difficult. McCall really has to pay attention right now, hedging the screen, not getting out of position.
Lewis nearly banked it in. Griffin off and running. Up to Dominguez, and he traveled. Just made a glance toward Lewis, and he just hesitated there.
Looking up the floor. Now Wingate has changed it already. Now they're trying to force some tempo. They realize that maybe they have Queens on their heels. Why not? A 20-6 run, taking their first lead since it was 2-0, going up 17-16 now with their largest lead of the game.
Back up top to Rankin. Good to see he's okay. Physical with Griffin. Nowhere to go. Shot clock at 10. Now back to Lewis. And good ball fake there. Got Baez to foul. And that was with the shot clock at 6. You work so hard in that point. Give one away.
Well, that's what Lewis did. He had to take a shot at the end of the shot clock on the last possession, which led to a fast break opportunity for Wingate. There he fakes that. You think that he's going to take it just because the shot clock is winding down, so Baez comes to close him out in a hurry. Lewis, just smart player, veteran player, senior, drawing that contact.
Wingate with 8 turnovers, but a shooting 62% through 11 and a half minutes. And that's loose on the floor. Goes right back to Lewis. And a good look for Hendricks, but he comes up short.
That's good defense by McCall. He stayed right in front of him. He was physical with Hendricks. They're trying to attack inside with Keith Griffin out of the game right now. Likely won't be back for the rest of this first half. McCall just continued to play the good defense right there.
And now Dominguez called for an offensive foul.
You know, Wingate only averages 13 turnovers a game. It's already 9. Of course, they had 6 in the first 5 minutes.
All right.
Checking in for Queens, number 15, Sean Morgan.
Only six rebounds total for Queens so far, and Wingate's only missed 6 shots. So you do the math, but they just haven't really done anything much on the offensive glass. Wingate's done a good job of one and done. As Lewis comes up hurting a little bit, and McCall needs a contact. He gets 30 seconds for that.
You know, that Wingate's done a good job keeping Queens off the offensive glass. You see Morgan, you see Camps. These guys average 7 rebounds, and Sean Morgan's averaging 5 rebounds a game. A lot of those are offensive rebounds. They don't miss a whole bunch of shots, Queens. As mentioned, they're 3rd in the conference, 51% from the floor. So McCall's going to beat that 30 seconds to get back in, which is big because I think when Griffin has been out of the game, he's been the guy the catalyst in keeping the Queens Royals off the glass.
Royals have not had a bucket since the 10:30 mark. White bobbles it, got it back. And Morgan has it stripped away. He's looking for a call, not going to get it. And we head to the under 8 timeout, and Wingate has the lead, their largest of the game, 22-18. The Bulldogs shooting 62%. We return to Timmons Arena in a moment after this from BB&T.
Now you have it. Everything in your hands. Nothing in your way. A new and better way to manage and control all your money. You, exclusively by BB&T.
Is he giving me a hard time? Is that what he's doing?
Brian Staten and I sit next to the commissioner of the South Atlantic Conference.
Give me a hard time, didn't he?
A little bit.
Yeah, it's okay.
22-18. And Brian, Wingate early shooting the ball well. Now they stop turning it over. They're getting good enough looks to put it in. Queens, on the other hand, still shooting 41%. 5 players have scored, but what's kind of changed for Queens the last 6 minutes?
I really believe it's Wingate's defensive intensity. They've stepped it up. They're staying in front of their defender. They're making it tough to drive. Rankin's a guy who likes to drive to the bucket. That opens up Lewis outside. That hasn't been there. Morgan's had a real tough time just catching the ball in the paint.
And Rankin did travel there, came down right before the shot.
Gets a lot of contact inside. These guys really have set a tone here. These officials allowing stuff inside the paint. It has been a physical game. You expect that. You know, it's the semifinals of a conference tournament.
Hand off to Dominguez. Doyle, spot up shooter, and right in front of Bart Lundy for the second time tonight. And the lead is 7 for Wingate. Frontal defense for McCall. Morgan can't get it. Wingate now 64% shooting. And I think Wingate, Queens feels solidly in at the 3 seed, obviously. Wingate's still a little uncomfortable now that what's going on with the Peach Belt, and who knows what can happen in Conference Carolinas with Kings. So I think one more win against a number 3 team will put them a lock, but I think they feel pretty comfortable still after getting past Carson Newman. We'll see. You never can tell.
Yeah.
You win, you get it automatic. Nobody can take it away from you. Griffin just bobbles it in the corner and turns it over.
Griffin a little bit out of control right there. He tried to get it back, but Rob Lewis, his defensive presence, had a very difficult pass. He may have deflected it, went off of Griffin, then he went diving out of bounds to try to keep it in play. But another turnover. That's just another turnover. It's the 10th turnover on Wingate. And in that first 5 minutes, Queens had 9 points off the 6 turnovers. They haven't scored a point off of a turnover since.
Griffin, in one of those rare 4-year starters, he's played every game in his Wingate career, like a Darius Carter, Brian, who just plays every game. You remember his name for years. As Lewis misfiring from distance, Dominguez battling for the rebound, and he's fouled by Morgan. And, Morgan and the Rankings and the Lewis, great players, but transfers. You get that 4-year guy that you remember for a long time.
Right.
It's hard to find choices about to be one for LMU. So it's just rare to see it nowadays. Wingate's got their share of transfers as well, but Griffin, Carter, Choice going to be one next year. Those kind of guys.
Everybody has them, and you have to have them because they're good players. They're going to come from programs and make your program better as well. It's going to make those 4-year guys even better.
McCall double team shows, and he travels. And McCall again just a little in a hurry.
A little uncharacteristic for this team. Once again, they just don't turn it over like this. They're usually very fundamentally sound offensively. You know this very well.
11 turnovers, 11 makes now. Still shooting 64%. Queens has dropped all the way down to 36. They are 1 for their last 7.
That's a good look inside to Morgan. Defender fell down. That was just a really good look by Withers.
It looked like a no-look shot from Morgan. We might have to keep. He's smiling. He must have realized the same thing. We'll keep that one for the next whistle.
Good defense by Camps, forcing a turnover up ahead to Withers.
Withers, 6'8", running the floor well, and he's fouled. Here's Morgan, Brian. You be the judge here. He was smiling down the other way.
Yeah, he didn't look right away, that's for sure. He knew where he was. Yeah, it was just kind of a flip behind the shoulder, and as he was continuing to turn, he got it to go.
There's Withers at the line. 69%. First one goes. Baez back in for Wingate. Baez 2 for 2, 5 points so far. As you look at Bart Lundy. Left to be a Division I head coach. Josh Schertz, a former assistant under Bart Lundy. Lundy went to Marquette, then back over in the Midwest, and finally back to Queens where he started all this. Curtin had it taken away, got it back, and then he just heaves it up and in.
Curtin had a down game Wednesday. He's really trying to forced the issue, obviously, from the very first possession for Wingate.
Hey, just one field, got a technical, got mixed up with Carson Brooks from Carson Newman. And it was the game-changing moment, though. And an offensive foul. Baez there, and Daniel Camps, you see him there, just leaning up against the backboard, Patty, saying,
He's just so big. You know, he's so strong, such a good player, such an intense player. He's used to driving on that baseline. He's used to getting that contact. We look at it here. He just runs right through Baez. He was there. He's at the spot. There just was no room for Camps to go.
And Baez came over on the help. That's why I think Camps was so confused. I don't think he saw him coming. And now Farley a turnover. Look out.
It's what they do. They'll turn you over and they can score in a hurry. They shoot 51%. There's a reason for that. They get a lot of those looks right there.
And Curiturn has the call timeout, and Brian Good, are you serious to his team? That's their second timeout of the half. Only have 2 for the rest of the game.
They didn't get organized. They didn't get organized defensive. You know, after the turnover, I don't think they realized what exactly happened. The ball's out of bounds in a hurry, and nobody's coming back to help Isaiah out. So really compounds the issue when you're not getting back and you've got a team hungry to come up with yet another steal, and they're in position. They're ready to go.
Well, Withers is not going to get more fun plays in his career than this. Look out. Great work there underneath on our camera crew.
It's a game that it's either Hendricks or Withers. Both of them are just that same way. Rankin can finish that way. It's a team, whenever they get the ball, open floor, they're usually finishing that exact way.
And Queens get some confidence out of their pressure there, too. Now here comes the trap. Farley, good job to go away from it. Waller for 3. Too strong. And McCall over the back of Hendricks. There's now some momentum for Queens. They're going to go to the foul line to trim this lead right back down to 2 or 1. Wingate, again, the story, 12 for 18 from the field, but 13 turnovers, and it hasn't been 1 or 2 players. 4 players with 2 or more. Queens on the other side started 6 of 12, just 3 of their last 9, but they're in the bonus and a chance to cut into it. Hendricks got the first. And you talked about Hendricks, Withers, both like a Terry from LMU, tall, skinny, long, can shoot, can run the floor, and that's kind of the model of the big guys now. Morgan is a dying breed. Keith Griffin for Wingate are dying breeds.
You talk about those 4-year guys, they will be that. Next year they will be thrust down into that starting lineup with Daniel Camps. They'll have to make sure the guards are on the same page, but those 2 are going to be a focal point for Queens.
Farley runs down the offensive rebound. Wingate going back to their weave. Now Baez going to work.
Again, it's been physical. They've let them play. There's been a lot of contact in this game, even after that offensive rebound.
Farley, a rare 3. And Wingate needed something offensively. Just gone a little stagnant, and that gets the lead back to 4.
36% from 3, but when you're wide open like that, probably a 50-50 three-point shooter.
Just a 6th three-pointer of the year for the sophomore. Here's Lewis going to work. Hey, Withers looking for a 3rd 3. He's got it. And how many 6'8 sophomores do you know can go 3 for 4.5 from downtown?
There's only one guy I knew, and he looked nothing like that. His name was Bobby Ewing. He looked absolutely nothing like that whatsoever. He didn't have that frame. He didn't even look like a basketball player, but he was 6'8", and he spent his life behind a three-point line.
Fowler finds Baez up and under. He's blocked. And that might have been another dislodge, but they don't get the call. And it'll go back to Queens.
That's a tough call right there against Queens, and Todd Withers looked to be in good position, come away with that steal, but officials saw it differently. We've had a lot of physical play. That one not as physical, but the call going in favor of Wingate.
So 30-29, 3:22 to play here in this first half. So far, 3 lead changes and 2 ties. So, Brian, coming up tomorrow, on ESPN3. 1 o'clock tip-off, the women's championship. Give me a preview of that. Looking forward to your call of it. Anderson, Wingate.
Well, you know, Wingate found a great scorer in their game. Anderson knows they have some great scorers. They were able to get out and run the floor. Anderson, Wingate, a championship showdown. This has been the championship pedigree of the South Atlantic Conference. Those two programs have really been at the top of the South Atlantic Conference, so to see them there, probably no surprise. But, you know, Anderson has the player of the year, and maybe Wingate has the future player of the year. At least it was showcased this afternoon.
Second game coming up at 1 o'clock. The men's game will follow at 4. 2016 SAC championship here from Furman University. So final media timeout of the half. Wingate at 59% from the field. Out-rebounding Queens 14-7. Queens the number 4 rebounding margin team, 6 in overall rebounds, and Wingate top 4 in both those categories. As Baez got a call there underneath. So Baez, as Brian said, poured it in on Wednesday night, and he has a quick half dozen here in the first half.
Yeah, he's got a good game going once again. Again, he's been on a ride. You know, last 4, 20 points a game. It's a kid who's figured it out.
And Morgan called for the offensive foul, lowering his head in, and Bart Lundy his hands out in the air saying, okay, but maybe just Morgan ducking his head.
Well, he's probably figuring out where did that come from, because all the contact that we've had around the perimeter and inside, you know, it's a tough call on Morgan. McCall has good position. Yeah, you know, he
ducks
just
his head.
Yeah, he lowers his shoulder and he does duck his head. You're just
He
not
paid
allowed
for it too.
Not allowed to clear out the space. And, you know, he's feeling it. It's just another way for Morgan just to calm himself down too. Grabs his head, looks over and says, all right, figure out how it goes. He's a smart player. He's a good player. So he'll figure out how the game will be called in the paint, and he'll adjust.
Morgan his first foul. Griffin double pumps. That was open on the first one. Rankin finishes, and there's Withers again. What a first half he's having. I mean, that's a 6'8" run the floor and knifing a pass through 2 defenders.
He's going to be a focal point for Queens the next 2 years. I mean, he's just a great player. He sees the floor so well, and he takes good shots. You don't ever see him take bad shots.
Another Wingate turnover and a foul leading to free throws. 14 turnovers now for Wingate in the first half. And like LMU, right around that dozen mark for turnovers per game, and they're over the 10 mark. And Brian Good unhappy with both situations.
Keith Griffin goes out of the game. We documented that just a little bit. It was 22-18 at that point. Wingate did build the lead to 25-18. I think McCall put in some really good minutes. This could be just a matter of him getting a bit winded. He's got to run up and down the floor. Queens has been able to tie it. They've been able to go into the paint. And, again, it's been the turnover bug. Wingate has played pretty good here offensively when they've held on to the basketball.
Queens closing in on 50% shooting. They're up to 48. And Lewis one more at the line to give the Royals the lead. And he's got it. Royals got 30 points from Lewis against Flagler, 26 against Mars Hill, 18 a game, first team all-conference. How can you leave Morgan off at 17.8 a game at 69%? So 2 locks for first team all-conference for Queens. And then Rankin gets postseason nod too. Xavier Griffin got there, couldn't execute the finish. Queens a chance to add their 1-point lead. It's a big 2 minutes for Wingate here. Royals trying to make a run. Griffin knocks it out of bounds. He'll stay there.
Just talked about the physicality inside right there. Curitan trying to defend on Withers. Those two locked in a good battle, and ball is just knocked out of bounds. So Queens feeling it right now. It's been an interesting first half. Wingate gets some momentum. They quit turning the ball over. All of a sudden they start turning it back over, and Queens gets the momentum after that dunk.
Long rebound back to Queens. Now here's Rankin going to work. An illegal screen on Hendricks. Jerry Hill with the call. And Queens turns it over for the night time. We talked about Baez freshman of the year. You know, Randall Shaw, phenomenal year down at Anderson. Team finishes tied for last. But he gets the freshman of the year, and then Palmore gets player of the year, finishes fourth, but should get it to Simmons, who's the number 1 team, or Baez, who's number 3 team. It's just amazing how all the voting works out. Baez comes up short. Speaking of Baez, as I say that, he misses a shot.
But I agree with what you're saying.
It's just coach. It's by coach, I think.
It is. And Shaw missed a good portion of the end of the year as well. And Baez got hot at the end of the year. Shaw had a great start all the way through the middle of the season to that portion. Then he gets hurt and he misses. So I guess his resume carried over.
Here's one thing, though. Palmore led the league in points, rebounds, assists. You can't doubt. You can't. There's just no doubt now. I don't care what you did. How about another steal from Withers?
Yeah,
an offensive foul. Curitan was just waiting for him. And that's where your big man just gets out of control a little bit.
I like the call there. I do. I'm sorry, because Curitan really had nowhere to go. He was the last man back. He just stood there. Withers just took him over. You'll see it here. He may be backing up, but he's in position the whole time. Maybe just a slight move, but he was always there. He was always in the spot.
That was a second foul on Withers, so he'll sit down with a game-high 13 points on 4 of 6 shooting, and we're under a minute to play. Rankin just giving all kind of problems to the Wingate point guards. The former Hokie.
He's a member of the all-freshman team for a reason. He's a good player.
Blocked. Curitan offensive rebound, no. McCall again, no. And it's tipped back out. Doyle. Air ball.
Wow, we're going to get something underneath as well. Doyle just may have rushed that shot just a little bit. Hendricks going to pick up number 3.
And that was away from the ball. Underneath on the shot. Curitan and Hendricks battling. Curitan just a nightmare. He's a bully. He fights. He works. He does whatever he needs to get it done. And he's just one of those guys you don't want to ever have to play, and you're just tired of him.
Well, I think if you saw something there on a replay, you'll see that Curitan probably got the hit first on Hendricks, and you got the retaliation. A lot of that happens, in this game because the 3 was going up. The officials kind of have their focus somewhere else, and kind of watching the play. It was a frantic play. I don't think either one of the players realized the ball was going to be off that much, and I think Curitan probably was the guy who located the ball and found it, and got in position on Hendricks, who probably took exception to taking a little bit of a hit.
So Hendricks down with 3. That'll bring in Tate Small, junior from Charlotte, where Queens is. And Queens essentially can hold for the last shot. And Bart Lundy will use his use it or lose it first half 30, and we'll use it and keep it here. So 34-33 Wingate, 4 ties, 4 lead change. This game been as advertised. It's been a strange way we got here. Queens 44%, pretty normal. They do have 10 turnovers. Wingate has 15, and they lead this game. Amazing.
That's not normal at all. The points off turnovers is now starting to really mount. Where would Queens be without that, in this game? Yeah, they're shooting 44%, but they are also getting some transition points. They're going right to the bucket, right to the paint. They're able to finish. They're missing some shots inside. Withers has taken good shots today. He's made some big threes. Wingate's really struggled on their offense, hanging on to the basketball, but when they do hang on to it, they are able to finish.
Queens can really hold for the final shot here if they want. Griffin and Rankin going at it. Down to 9 on the shot clock. 3 won't go. Rebound Wingate. Doyle has time. Doyle driving in. Comes up short. And that's how the first half will end. So Wingate, who got down 11-2, Queens gave up then a 17-4 run. And the Royals will go into the break down by 1. So the third meeting of the year between the two teams. 20 minutes played. We're only separated by 1 point. And let's go over the sideline. Brian Staten with Coach Lundy.
With Bart Lundy. Bart, interesting first half. Wingate turns the ball over. You score a lot of points off turnovers. How do you get your offense to be a little bit more consistent?
Well, we got to get into the paint a little more. We haven't been able to get in with the bounce and in and out. So, they've done a good job being physical with us, so give them credit.
Is your defense credit for a lot of the turnovers that you forced?
I hope so. I think we've played pretty hard. We've got some guys a little under the weather and injuries we're fighting through, so I thought they battled. It's going to be, I'm sure, a battle to the end.
Coach, best of luck in the second half. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Ryan, back to you.
All right, Brian, thanks so much. So it's Wingate by 1 here at the half. The Bulldogs looking for their 6th SAC championship all time here in the tournament style. Their first since 2013. Of course, Queens, a couple years in the league, looking for their first ever. Halftime here in Timmons Arena. We'll take about an 8-minute break, and we'll come back with an interview with Brian Good, first half stats and more. Wingate by 1 at the break. Welcome back to Timmons Arena here in Furman, here on the campus of Furman University in Greenville, South Carolina. SAC Championship weekend, the SAC Tournament quarterfinals, our fourth game of the day, and it's the slimmest of margins, 1 point. Let's take a minute to recognize some of our great sponsors here this weekend. Today's broadcast brought to you in part by AstroTurf. The inventor of synthetic turf industry has upheld its commitment to innovation for over 50 years. To learn more about AstroTurf, which provides turfs for many of the schools in the South Atlantic Conference, visit astroturf.com. Also brought to you by BB&T, more than 140 years of financial knowledge shared with you daily. Visit your local financial center and know how it feels to know more. BB&T, sharing knowledge for a brighter direction. Member FDIC. For almost 40 years, Coleman, Liu & Associates have been a leader in executive search and leadership development for corporate, education, and nonprofit organizations across the country and around the globe. To learn more, visit colemanliu.com. Brought to you by Hasty Awards, the official sponsor of the South Atlantic Conference and award supplier to the league. Ordering for your individual youth sports team or placing a custom medal order for an upcoming marathon, they have you covered. Hasty's Award is your #1 source for all awards and recognition needs. Visit them today at hastyawards.com. And brought to you by McMillan Pasdan Smith, a regional studio-based planning, architectural, and interior design firm whose mission is to help clients create environments that embody their personalities, enrich their lives, and enhance the quality of their community. To learn more, visit www.mcmillanpasdansmith.com. So halftime here in Timmons Arena. We're standing by for Brian Good here at halftime. His Bulldogs lead Queens by 1 here at the break. The winner gets Lincoln Memorial in the 2016 SAC Championship game. That's coming up tomorrow at 4 o'clock on ESPN3. Brian and I thrilled to be back with you for that one tomorrow, as we'll just turn over to the ESPN3 format. And great to have the games here tonight on the SAC Digital Network. Both teams back out on the floor. Wingate, a couple of soft tosses at the rim. The Royals are going through their layup line. Shut. And we'll send it over to Brian, who's standing by with Wingate head coach Brian Good.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Coach Good, first half, you have to be a little bit unhappy with ball security. How do you change that? What do you do differently? Was it what Queens was doing, or is it what you guys were doing?
Oh, it's definitely some Queens. Yeah, they get after the ball and they got quick hands, and but we can fix some things too. But we really did a lot of really good things. That was probably the only thing that we didn't do was take care of the ball.
Yeah, how happy were you with your offense? You guys shot for a high percentage most of the half.
I thought our offense was pretty good. I thought once we got out of the first 5 minutes there, it was good. But I thought our defense really picked up. Our help, rotations, I think we took 3 or 4 charges on help. So we got to keep that going.
Well, how do you keep that going here in this second half?
Have some pride and want to go play tomorrow.
Thanks, Coach. Best of luck.
All right, thanks.
Ryan, back to you.
All right, Brian Good there with Brian Staten. Too many Brians and Ryans for one interview back and forth. Let's take a look at those first half stats. Wingate was shooting about 60% for the most of the half, but missed their last 5 shots down the stretch. Shoot 44% for the first half. Queens shorts 42. Wingate makes 4 threes. Queens makes 3. Bulldogs made all 4 of their chances at the line. The Royals got there 10 times. Rebounding the big story, though. Wingate dominates the glass 20-11. Brian mentioned the turnovers. Bench points 7-6. And then steals. Queens had 6, and they led to 17 points off turnovers. So turnovers, points off turnovers, rebounding kind of make the difference in a game where both teams shoot about the same percentage, make about the same shot. So Brian Staten, you asked Coach Good about his keys. How about yours the second half here? Can Wingate start the half better than they did in the first? And where will Queens look offensively if it's not Withers? They're going to need some other guys to score.
Yeah, it's very odd. I think my key for Wingate, just hang on to the basketball. Coach Good said it. We did a lot of really good things in that first half, and so I think you work off that. You work off what you did offensively. It started on the defensive end. I think when Kerrigan Farley comes into the game, he was able to kind of change the momentum a little bit. But for Queens, I think the rotation of Morgan, he's not real comfortable in there right now. I like this ad to put him to start the second half, and if you have to bring Hendricks off the bench to get that energy, I like that. Their key, obviously, is to look inside and try to score. Keith Griffin's going to start here in this second half, but I really think they have to attack the paint. Daniel Camps didn't have a very good first half. He seemed frustrated. Just be positive. I think that's what I would change.
There's pressure right off the gates. And Wingate not a team that really likes to push it much, and they'll slow back down, drop back in offense. It's a good point, though. Griffin didn't play a lot of minutes in that first half. And there's Griffin right there, off a pick and roll for the big man.
Well, that's good ball movement for him, too. He's moving off of the ball. It's the best we've seen him move so far here in this first half. In this first half, he didn't move a whole lot. He just kind of was stationary. That's good, getting him off of a screen, getting him a good look.
Lewis, in and out, no good.
He's got to be a factor. He's got to get going. He's got to find somewhere that gets him going, whether that's just getting him to the free throw line or not.
Doyle spots up, and he's really shooting it well here in Timmons Arena. A spot-up shooter, give him now 3 threes for the night, and the lead is 6.
He just gave up an offensive rebound. Morgan was just making sure he didn't make contact, just had his arms in the air, didn't locate the ball. He had an easy rebound.
And Morgan responds right back with the reverse, and he's hobbling down the court. It's that ankle is working on, and you can tell he's just in pain, but give the man credit. He's trying hard, and he's really limbering out there.
Coach Lundy talked about that. He addressed it at halftime. We got a bunch of guys sick. We got some guys with a bunch of ailments, but we've just got to suck it up and go play.
Griffin, no. Rebound for Withers. Gets it away from Keith Griffin. And now Keith Griffin with the frontal on Morgan, and Morgan's hurting.
He didn't have good position. I thought it was a rush pass by Rankin. He never had position. Keith Griffin had the position the whole time. It's good defense here by Rob Lewis.
Yeah, he got out of the way. Baez was on a full steam ahead and just get out of the way. Might have caught an elbow. Now here's Hendricks back, and he's going to have to play for Morgan. And Hendricks, 3 fouls, Brian, in the first half. Got to be careful.
Well, you bring him in, bring in that energy. He can't play like he has 3 fouls. That's just not how he plays. And, they're going to bring out Camps here, too. And I just don't know if this is something that Coach Lundy sees with the matchup with Wingate, where he takes out both Camps and Morgan. I know Morgan has to come out. He can't go for extended periods of time, but Camps just seems to me as if he is a defend nightmare. And for him to go out, again, I'm not coaching him, but it must be a matchup thing that Coach Lundy likes and sees.
Withers, Curitan lunging on the floor after it. Great effort by both men there in the middle of the floor.
I have never in my broadcast day seen Curitan have a 1-for-9 day. What happened?
Technical foul, Queens,
okay.
Or Carson Newman's zone too, and he collapsed down inside.
He is such a solid player. He just plays this way all the time.
Just one of those games,
Okay. Well, he's making up for it today.
Baez a little deep there, comes up short.
Maybe a rush shot there for Coach Good's liking.
Withers not a rush shot, that's his spot, but he's missed 2 in a row now. Started 3 and 4 now. Oh, make it 3 in a row rather. Started 3 or 4, now 3 in a row.
And that is saying something. He's pretty much had 3 really good looks.
Alley-oop, backdoor for Griffin.
That's just great eye contact. I don't think it's a design play. I just think it was something that those two saw and realized what the defense was and what they could get away with. That is just great communication on the floor for those two.
Early case for the Olive Garden play of the game?
Good case. I wasn't sure what we were calling it.
Rankin somehow got it to Lewis. Corner. Jones, big shot. Senior, 7 points a game, and Jones slices the lead right in half.
He has that capability. You know, he's a guy that can go high double digits, high teens, I guess, double digits. McCall's going to come in. Griffin is going to get a break right here. But I do believe that Kendall Jones, what I saw right there from Rob Lewis is an uncertainty. He really had an open lane to the bucket, and he didn't take it. He decided to kick it out to Jones. So right now Wingate is making these guards think. Rankin and Lewis are both thinking because of Wingate's defense.
Curtin gets the defender in the air. Comes right back to McCall. Oh, wait, they blew the whistle first.
I believe it did go out of bounds.
Hard to hear that whistle that time.
One of those things that I think as Lee went to blow the whistle, it came out of his mouth.
Shot clock's at 3. Curtin just has to put up a tough shot. Queens trying to take advantage.
That's more like it. It's what I expect out of Lewis. The last drive, he didn't really go to the rim. He passed it out. I think that time Coach Lundy was telling him, you have to make sure you go to the rim.
Timeout on the floor. Wingate led by 1 at the half. 4 minutes in, they bumped it up to 3. Close game, don't go anywhere. We're back after this from Wilson.
Let's start shooting. Swish. Up, Dylan. Count it. Nice shot. Not enough on that shot. Countdown. 3, 2, 1. He puts up the shot. He nails it. He's executing beautifully. You've got to love the way he's hitting these shots today. Nothing but net. That'll go. Nice shot.
Queens coaching tree here today. Bart Lundy, the head coach currently for Queens. Brian Good, previously the head coach at Queens. And Josh Schertz, a former assistant, who's the head coach now at Lincoln Memorial in the SAC championship game. So those are mostly with Conference Carolinas. Rankin tipped out. McCall couldn't get his hands on it. And Curtin, what a block. But a foul.
Well, one, it was a great find by Rankin. I'm not sure how he was able to find Hendricks on the baseline after he goes up for that offensive rebound. But Curtin, you know, players usually know if they got you or not. Curtin does not believe that he did right there. And again, I'm not really sure that he did either.
And he and Withers were sharing a laugh. Here's another look at it.
That's just a great find, number one.
Oh.
Just at this level, that's play on. But you know, there is a
did
little
follow through with the
yes,
hand. Yeah, followed through with the hand, but got some basketball first. Here's my only problem in those situations. Referees, they don't think you and I care what the call is. So as Doyle nearly turned it over, now he will turn it over. The stat computer just got crashed. But here's the thought. A guy goes down, and gets absolutely clobbered. And you know, the referee comes over, he gives a hand check foul or a little touch.
Yeah.
Or a guy gets slapped hard on the arm, he comes over and gets pushed. Well,
right.
We want to know what the call was.
Yeah.
We got to hold the referees accountable on what they're coming over to say it is. That's my only conversation about it.
We need to add adjectives like he got hammered.
Yes.
On the call.
And that just given away by Hendricks. And usually the coaches will ask for the variation. I always listen to just get an idea. Nice ball fake from Baez. Got it.
Real unorthodox shot, you know, but man, it is so effective. And Baez is so good at that little head fake.
And Baez, great size for just a true freshman at 6'4", and he can shoot that over anyone because his elevation and his size. He gets up so high. Whereas a guy like Simmons has a flat shot, shooting flat-footed usually. He gets separation, it's usually going in. Rankin doesn't get the call, but he runs down the loose ball. And Queens has a fresh shot clock.
It was a good block by Griffin inside, too.
Good awareness by Jones to run that down.
Withers had a mismatch. Should have gone up that time. He tried to go back out to Jones, who had hit a three previously from that spot.
Lead still one possession. No Bulldogs in double figures yet. And Curriton called for the carry. 2 with 9. That's Doyle and Baez. Curriton has 8. Griffin has 8. Farley has 5. So balance all the way around for Wingate. Morgan has 8 on 4-4, no surprise, but he's just hasn't been able to play a lot because of the ankle.
You know, an impact player for Queens was Rob Lewis. We talked about him just a little bit. He's just really not in this game just yet, and I think he's still trying to search where is my game. We saw him drive to the bucket just moments ago. There's a foul call for a hand check out around the perimeter, but that's his game. He needs to get in there to open up what he can do on the outside.
Impact players haven't fared well yet so far today. Ooh! And Dominguez goes down hard, and that was a nasty spill, and Josh is going to need some attention.
Yeah, they're going to have to really go out there and check on Josh. He went head over heels, literally, got in the air. Camps with a nice little ball fake.
And at this point, got to keep him where he is and steady there. Josh, a junior for Wingate out of Matthews, North Carolina. Started 7 games this year. Baez went a little cold there earlier in the year, and that was a scary spill.
Had some injuries today, there's no question. We saw Mitch Riggs in the Newberry game, the opening possession, the first 30 seconds. He goes, see how hard of a hit this is. You'll see just his head gets on. When he hits the ground, it bounces.
Yeah, right there. The contact was made on the back of the neck, and that is scary. Very, very scary. Dominguez is moving his legs around there. I don't know if you can see his Nike shoe there, the white, just kind of moving around. There is an EMS on site. And this is a scary, scary moment.
We had that again, just to go back in our first men's semifinal. The first 30 seconds, Mitch Riggs was our impact player. He goes driving down the lane, left side, the knee gives out, and as soon as the trainer got to him, it's almost as if they put it back in place. It's almost like it was dislocated. He immediately starts screaming in some pain. He's subsided just a little bit there, or I should say subdued just a little bit. After he sits down and just realizes that I think he can get up, he had to be helped off. He never came back to the game. That leg was heavily wrapped. And now Dominguez, who gets caught in the air, and it was just a nice baseline move by Camps. It was just kind of a head fake from the near side. He was going for the reverse, and Dominguez was in the air, and he was on the ground immediately. He was moving, but they are not taking they're taking every precaution to move him over right now. This is a tough scene to see right now. Secured the head as they rolled him over. They continue to look at him. He's got 5 trainers there. Brian Good was one of the first out there. Type of imagery you don't want to see this.
Yeah.
It's been a well-played game. Back and forth. Wingate finally got some things settled out. Josh Dominguez, I believe, was a big reason why Wingate got some things figured out in that first half. After they trailed 11-2, he comes in off the bench, and they kind of sat down defensively. He was in there, came up with the steal early in that run. And now Coach Good going to him early here in the second half.
Great to see Josh sit up there. And again, we'll see how Wingate responds emotionally. I mean, you're at this point in the year. This is game number 30 for Wingate, a junior, a 3-year player for Wingate's program. This is just a game at the end of the day. You're worried about player safety at all times. So,
right, you can hear the concern in Dave Davis's voice when you talk to him about Riggs and what that did to the team and how it shook him up a little bit. And you see how this has affected Coach Good as well.
Yeah.
He was staring out, make sure that everything was okay. You can see him right now. He's kind of being a cheerleader right now. He's kind of rallying the troops, if you will, circling the wagons. making sure everybody's on the same page.
Here's another look at it from up top. And you just watch where the contact, around the Bulldog head on the back of his jersey. And impossible to tell there, but you can see him tumble back underneath, and that was very, very scary.
Kind of holding that wrist as well.
Maybe
is he wearing a wrap? Is he also wearing a wrap?
Yeah, it looks like a shoulder. So maybe a little woozy too from that too.
No
so
question.
that might be all for Dominguez today. But look, just the most important part. He walks off under mostly his own, and now Wingate's got to regroup and get back on defense. And just like that, a three. And how about Kendall Jones? 2 huge threes here in the second half.
Young man fully capable, there's no question. He's hit some big threes for this Queens team this season. He comes off the bench, he provides a spark plug for them, and he's provided that here in the second half.
Started 11 games. And Camps at 6'5" can play with Griffin. You talk about his size. And he picks up the foul.
Talked about
third foul now, Brian.
Yeah, talked about Jones providing a spark plug. It's hard to provide a spark plug unless you go to a store. He provides a spark.
Yeah, right.
He's a burst of energy.
Jacoby Davis into the game right now for Queens, guarding Curitan. Shot clock under 20. Davis all over Curitan. Corner to Baez. Skip pass, and that's taken away by Lithers. And he misses the layup. Baez probably pulls the trigger there on the first shot. Brian Good unhappy there.
You know, Withers read that. It was a dangerous cross-court pass. That's what the 6'8" wing at number 3 position can give you there for Queens. And then Withers, who has the ability to run the floor as well. I think he's probably upset with himself. He didn't try to go up a little stronger, but I don't think his dribble timed him out to go up strong at the rim.
And that's where Brian Good telling Baez to shoot it. And that's just too far to get past 6'8". Withers, you put in his arms there, that wingspan, too much. He does miss a pair. And Keith Griffin with the rebound.
Yeah, that's a tough miss right there for Queens. Had this game tied, that could have added some energy. Just picked up the dribble maybe a half step too sooner. He probably dunks that down as it is. Missing 2 free throws. It's almost like it didn't happen for Wingate.
5th tie of the game right now, 43 apiece. Low scoring, good defensive effort. Farley can't get it to go. And what a finish we got coming for you. 12:54 to play. Both teams probably in the NCAA tournament. How about this? Camps just picked up his 4th, and he waved off Bart Lundy a few minutes ago, said, hey, I'm good, after picking up his 3rd, and now he sits with 4, but Morgan is coming back in, so all good for the Royals.
Yeah, pick your poison. You know, it's been an interesting game, and nobody's really been able to get away. We had the 11-2 lead for Queens after so many turnovers as they continue to check on Dominguez. That's good to see that he is going through the protocol. The 20-6 run by Wingate, it's really been the only run, of this game. Nobody's been able to get too far away from the other.
Withers, another miss. Morgan lost it, diving on the floor after it. And we got a Queens timeout. Rankin ran into Jerry Hill to call the timeout. And how about Sean Morgan? I mean, barely can run out there, and he jumps on the ball. He jumps on the ball to pull it in. What effort.
Yeah, it's just, a guy, he doesn't want this to end. He wants to win a championship. You want to get some type of a hardware during your season. You've had a great year. Finish it off with the championship.
So our halftime score was Wingate by 1, and 7:20 into the second half. It's still a 1-point game. Let's go back to that tournament bracket. Only 1 upset so far. Wingate trying to pull off the second. And again, we were talking about this earlier. I mean, here's your reward for being the 3 seed. You get Carson Newman, the defending tournament, and then Lenore Ryan, who's just playing for their NCAA hopes. They need Barton not to win the Conference Carolinas, and they're going to have to deal with one of those Peach Belt schools getting in. So at this point, LR has got to worry about Barton beating King, because if they do, then the 7 and 8 are gone. And Wingate won their last game and lose to a top 3 team in the region, where LR loses their last game. Right. So I don't know if LR can jump to the 6, and Wingate goes from 6 to out after making this. So, but in fourth and one of the best years ever, and you get Newberry in the first round, and LMU barely beat Tuscaloosa in both games. It's what, a 4-point game, a 10-point game, and they get the Pine. I mean, there was no easy game this year.
It was as good, I think, a top 8 as it has been in a long time. Of course, then there were 3 other teams that were fighting for that 8 spot right outside of that. Coker started playing well at the end. Mars Hill was always dangerous. You never knew what they were going to be able to do or what they could accomplish.
And it ends up with 4 teams finishing in 9th place. All 4 finished 5 and 19.
Good look in here for Morgan, and he tries to get a little bit cute with the lay-in, and he just basically short arms a layup.
Farley fouled on the floor, though, and Morgan went down hard.
I believe he believes that he's creating a bunch of contact, but I believe also it was more after the fact when he missed the shot that he was more disappointed with himself. Withers fortunate to have that one after Cureton misses on the baseline. Rob Lewis is back in, forced to take a tough shot. He's really trying to force some action right now, but he's got to drive to the rim. He can't fade away right there.
So Farley going back to the line. Farley has been really, really good on the attack tonight.
Foul trouble really mounting. We talked about Camps. Now Withers has 3. Hendricks, who has 3. Some foul trouble mounting in that front court for this Queens team.
You think about Queens, they shoot 51% from the field. Carson Newman, number 1 team in the country, they shoot 52%. Yeah. And if Wingate wins, guess who they get tomorrow? Yeah. Another team that shoots over 50%. 3 of the top 4 teams in the country in field goal percentage. Could you imagine making it through 2 and say, wow, who we got next? LMU, who's number 2, and it's just the way these teams shoot it, amazing.
The game has changed so much too. It's become a dribble drive type of an offense. We got somebody like a tournament MVP, Charles Clark, on Carson Newman. That's a great help by Griffin. That was an easy lay-in for Hendricks, and Griffin got back and read it.
Can Wingate make a run, though, Brian? Great point. It's Curitan in traffic, calling a timeout, and he's going to get it. And it'll go to a media timeout, and we'll step away as well. Back after this from BB&T. Wingate holding on to a 3-point lead. The finish coming up.
Every day, we have choices to make, opportunities to take. Some small, some not so small. For the decisions that matter most, BB&T is here and has been here for more than 140 years. Sharing the knowledge and the support you need to take on your financial world with confidence. That's the BB&T difference. That's the power of knowledge. Talk to us today.
Good-looking Royal there.
Yeah,
a king on the Queens.
Yeah. Conference has changed. We're getting mascots. We're
bands,
all kinds
cheerleaders.
of stuff. We're here at the Timmons Arena. I feel a little bit like royalty, know, here today. This is outstanding.
Well, the way our crew works, you've been treated like royalty.
I have been.
Oh, there's Rex. See, I was waiting for the name of him. I didn't want to guess. Rex.
I have not treated our crew too much like royalty, but I'm learning. I'm baby steps into this.
Curitan did not get the block call earlier, but Keith Griffin just got the block call a minute ago, battling inside with Hendricks. And here it is.
It's just Griffin was trailing the play the whole time, realized he was beat. That's just good body control. Big man, that's just smart basketball.
Lawler can pick this up in the backcourt. And Griffin will come bail him out. Wingate will go to work. 1 timeout remaining, though, for Wingate. That's what that timeout did. Saved a possession. But it put Wingate in a hole here. Shot clock at 1. Curitin, the second time in this half, had to do that. And he and Baez both had the right idea going after the loose ball, and they collide.
That's just hustle. I don't think Lewis is 100%. I think he was the one guy Bart Lundy had kind of mentioned about feeling a bit under the weather. You know, Rankin, he's got that wrist taped up. But I'm waiting for those two to start doing something. It's their time as we close in on halfway here in this second half. Very tight game, waiting for those guys to decide to do something. But this is Wingate's pace. This is what they like. They're forcing you to take some tough shots. Even though Withers hits a big shot right there, they're forcing Queens to take some really tough shots.
Queens was just 3 of 12 in the second half before that shot. Withers buries his 4th 3 of the game. Here's Hendricks guarding with 3 fouls. Finds a wide open Xavier Griffin to respond. He does.
I don't care what your shooting percentage is. I don't care what it says from three-point territory for Xavier Griffin, under 30%. When you have a wide-open look, you're as good as a 50-50 three-point shooter.
In stride, too.
Yeah. Nobody's there. Nobody's around. It might as well be warm-up.
Well, don't hold me to that standard, though.
Okay.
Withers takes over the lead for second on the team in threes. Looking for another one. This time, no. And Griffin rebounds from the weak side. Second on the team now. Lewis is still first as Baez lost it, but got it back.
That's Keith Griffin.
And frustration for Jones. I thought Jones might have got fouled as he was going to pick the ball up.
He definitely thought he was. That's what he looked to the official. He said it's the same call. Got the same call. But that's Keith Griffin. He's keeping that play alive. Jones has an opportunity for a breakout, maybe dunk, at least 2-point opportunity for Queens. But Keith Griffin keeps it alive for Wingate.
Xavier Griffin, can he pop another? No. Lewis sprinting down, beating everyone to the rim. And he's fouled.
Griffin was given some help that time. If he had just maybe even gotten out of the way, I don't think he realized that Xavier Griffin was coming. Xavier Griffin blocking that one out of bounds as Keith Griffin just kind of stayed in front of him. If he gets out of the way, it's a block. And Queens is just going to throw it in instead of go to the free throw line and shoot free throws. You don't want to get this guy going, even though he's shooting just around 69% on the year from the free throw line.
Yep.
He's still just not into this game. Coming off an 8 of 15 shooting game in Game 1 win against Catawba here in the quarterfinals, a 22-point game. He also distributed 7 assists in that contest as well. It's just been a tough game for him today, and that credit this Wingate Bulldog defense.
Curitin runs down the rebound as Lewis has missed a pair, but he did get the 3rd foul on Keith Griffin, so anything out of that, you take that. And a 10-second violation on Wingate in the backcourt. And Bart Lundy's bunch gets another Wingate turnover. And this second half so far just 15-13 in favor of Wingate. And we're past the midway point.
Well, it's definitely a pace that favors the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Queens wants to get out. They do want to run. They're better in the half court than they're showing, but Wingate is not making it easy. They do not have any openings. Right there is a drive, and that's a good point. They close off any passing lane, and they don't make it easy when you drive to the bucket.
And Curitin knocks in the 3, his first of the game, and he becomes the first Bulldog in double figures. Wingate has 5 players with 8 points or more. Wingate only 3 turnovers in the second half. That's way off for Hendricks. He's now just 1 of 5.
Just not Hendricks' game. His game is a little bit closer than that. Probably not the shot Coach Lundy was looking for. Who's got to step up for Queens? Who makes that next big play? Meanwhile, Wingate doing what they're doing. I mean, just very methodical. Solid defense, and they're getting enough offense so far.
Baez got it. 9-point lead for Wingate. It was Griffin, then Curitin, and now Baez. Wingate pouring it in from downtown in the second half. They've made 8 for the game, and the lead is 9 with 8 to go. Lewis putting his head down, going to work. Blocked inside. This time Griffin gets it clean. And here's Camps coming back in with 4 fouls. And maybe Bartoloni's saying, look, I just can't keep him out any longer.
He can't.
And here comes Morgan back.
He can't keep him out anymore. He's got to go in, and Camp's got to play very composed. This really, I think, benefits Wingate because defensively it's a liability on the floor. Camps wants to play very aggressive, very hard.
And Morgan comes in immediately and turns it over. Baez over to Doyle. Blocked inside. Lewis, what a play. Lewis, the point guard, comes back to make the play.
That's a really nice play by Lewis. Never gave up on the play. Now who steps up for Queens? Somebody's got to score on this possession. This is a breaking point, I believe, for the Royals.
9-point game, 7:46 to go. Camps, what a move. Daniel Camps, a junior from Fayetteville, a former Norse at Northern Kentucky.
Just what they needed, something to end the run. It could get them going defensively. You already see Rankin a little bit more aggressive on the defensive end.
Keith Griffin right over Morgan, and you talked about it. He played him tough, but Griffin got deep enough where he wanted, and he's got that mentality. I know exactly how hard he got to flip it up.
Morgan, he's trying to do too much right now.
Just gave it away again.
Oh, great pass.
Xavier Griffin from downtown. And the lead a dozen for Wingate. Bart Lundy still has 2 timeouts, and they're going to take it 60-48. And Wingate has all the momentum. What a run for the Bulldogs. It's been the 3 ball.
Yeah, and they've hit with 3 in a row right now, and this is a Wingate team. Baez has been right in the middle of it. He's been right in the mix of all of it. He's been able to score it. He's been able to distribute it. That was a great extra pass, finding Griffin in the corner.
So Wingate by 12. Xavier Griffin this year, just 30% from downtown. He's only hit 13 trays this year, but 2 here in the second half. And he becomes the 6th Bulldog with 8 points or more.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's the guy that is wide open. And again, to talk about that, when you're not going to get a contested look or a contested shot, again, that's wide open. That's you talked about that in stride, just driving in. Griffin in the middle of the play here. Baez, equal opportunity lender. It was given to him. Griffin gets one right back. Again, this is just great ball movement. That's why Wingate right now in a good rhythm, a good move. They're not turning the ball over. We saw this in the first half. They shot for a high percentage in the first half, but they just couldn't hang on to the past 15 turnovers in the first half. So it really responded nicely here in this second half.
5 here in the second half. Queens, meanwhile, just 5 of 18 from the field. Wingate 9 of 18. And the Bulldogs outscoring the Royals 26-15 here in the second half. So we'll see if Wingate can finish. And again, this is Wingate probably a year ahead of where they want to be. Brian Good saying, look, we got 1 senior. Mike Baez, one of our leading scorers, a true freshman. And maybe a year ahead, and they're trying to get it back against Queens here and win the season series, but could pending another game in the NCAA tournament. There's Jones. He's been big in the second half. Back to Rankin. And the corner, Withers camping out down there, can't get it to go, and it goes over the top of the backboard. And another empty possession for Queens. And now the pressure. Can this get them back in the game?
They haven't really come with this. Harley's got to do a good job. Griffin back there. That's a veteran guy that's back there. It's a guy that's been with the program.
Well, that wasn't pretty, but Wingate somehow got it done.
You've got Xavier Griffin right now playing at a high level in this game. He's hit some shots. And now it's good security to get it into the front court. And this guy's been hitting shots all game long.
And Wingate just cannot miss from downtown. Doyle, give him a dozen. 6 triples. And it feels like all 6 in the past 4 or 5 minutes. Now Farley reaching in. Can't steal it away. Camps throws it back up, and he's fouled. All right, Queens right now down 15, staring at what would be their 4th loss in the past 6 games. 5 games, excuse me.
Yeah, it's just, but they look at their schedule. I mean, they had Lincoln Memorial in there. They did have LR. They had a hot Tusculum team when they when they went to Tusculum and played that game. Tusculum had a lead. Withers hit a baseline three-pointer to send it to overtime. They hit another shot at the end of the first overtime to send it to a double overtime. So they played well, and they have played well, just have not been able to get results because of their level of competition. I think that's a fair statement. And then they, in their first game, in the first round game, in the quarterfinal against Catawba, they took on a really good team there too.
Griffin driving, goes by Lewis, but too strong. Works down 20 seconds, and we're at the 5:30 mark. Wingate's lead is 14. Queen gets the stop. Can they get a bucket? Lewis so far just 1 of 6, Rankin 1 of 8. They both out there right now. Camp's going to work. And he'll be fouled.
Let's go back a possession. I think Griffin missed an opportunity to make an easy layup, and he went to the baseline and then tried to make it up and took a contested layup, and it didn't work out too well. And then here on this end, Camps, I think, fortunate to get the call. We had that earlier in that first half with Sean Morgan as he tried to just lower the head and get to the rim, and he was called for an offensive foul. McCall may not have had the position. He may not have been in front of Morgan there, and that may have been what the official saw. It's going to benefit Queens right now. It ends the run just momentarily, but can this build a run for Queens?
Entering the game for Queens, number 25, E.J. White, and number 31, Jared Hendricks.
Little defense here, switch for Bart Lundy as he tells Camps, get ready to go back. Get ready to go back.
Farley in the corner.
That's good ball handling.
Lead back down to a dozen. 5 to play. And Farley will sell the foul. Only the 6th, though, on Queens, so one more. Wingate will be in the bonus. Queens already in the bonus.
But again, that is a 4th foul on yet another Royal. Camps with 4. And now Hendricks with 4. Hendricks did get the start today for the injured Sean Morgan.
And Curtin called for a traveling violation. Wingate 6th turnover in the second half. Now 21 for the game. Season high turnovers is 21. So this match is a season high. Guess what? They did it twice. They were both wins, and one of them against these Queens Royals.
Well, they've held on to the ball a lot better in the second half. 15 in the first half, just 6 so far in the second half.
Rankin didn't want it. Now back up top to Withers. Wingate's gone almost 2 minutes without a field goal. Queens only been able to shave it down 1 point. Shot clock at 7. Camps, no. And it'll stay with Queens. They'll get another look at it, but they do use 27 seconds. And here comes Jones back in the game. 5 blocks, 5 rebounds, 10 points for Keith Griffin. And what a difference he makes, and really all by himself and down in the post. He had 5 blocks on Wednesday night as well against Carson Newman.
He's just his presence. He's not flashy, doesn't do a whole lot. He's just solid.
Speaking of solid, Kendall Jones, 3rd three-pointer in the second half. It's right back down to 9.
Well, that's a forced 3 too, a contested 3. It's just a big shot by Jones.
Wingate will break the pressure with 3 seconds to spare. Now Wingate all of a sudden on their heels, needing a stop, or a bucket, I should say. Shot clock quickly down to 10. Here comes the high screen. Farley, what a play.
That's a great play. Had a little bit of a mismatch. It's hard to say that against Todd Withers, but Withers is winded. He's tired, and Farley is fresh, and he took him off the dribble right to the rim.
10 points off the bench for Farley. His point guard mate Griffin has 8 points. Lewis from almost Houston Baptist missed it. And it'll be blue ball going the other way. Oh, no, correction. Jerry Hill switches. And that'll bring us to a timeout. So media timeout, Wingate by 11, 3:28 to play. And we'll take a look at our impact player update. Baez 12 points, 4 of 8, hasn't had to take a lot of shots. Rob Lewis on his side just 1 of 6, and the impact player Hex.
Yeah, I don't think we need to pick impact players anymore, especially if big impact players want to make an impact on the game. Lewis has just really struggled, and you have to credit what Wingate has done. 1 of 7, he's really taken some tough shots. That last 3 that he just took was well out of his range. I'm sure he can make that, but it's just not an in stride. Marquise Rankin tried to drive in, get a look for him, but Wingate's defense is not leaving Rob Lewis alone. They are not allowing him to turn this game and turn the momentum. He is stuck on 4 points, a guy that's averaging 18 points a game. Rankin, who has just 2 points, I know not an impact player, but he's a big-time impact. Meanwhile, for Mike Baez, it may not be a 25-point game, but what he is doing is he is hitting big shots in big moments. He has 12 points tonight, 4 of 8 from the field, 2 of 5 from three-point territory. Compound that with the fact that he's contributed 3 assists. Getting eyes, open looks, they're knocking down those shots. He's having a more impactful game than that of Rob Lewis, but I think a lot of it talked about the guys who are under the weather and a bit injured, not giving Rob Lewis an excuse. I just don't think he's 100% here tonight, but Wingate's defense has been smothering.
Camp's going to work. And Griffin comes up and fouls him, and that's number 4 on Griffin. With 3:24 to go, Brian, good a decision here to make. McCall has 3. And Camp's going the line for 2. Camp's a 65% foul shooter. Queens has missed 7 today. Wingate has only been to the line 8 times. Camp's pure on the first.
He's been good at the free throw line here in this second half. Of course, his minutes have been very limited in this game because of some foul trouble he picked up in the first half, but he's being very aggressive. And if I'm Keith Griffin right now, I'm going to realize Camps probably isn't going to settle for a 15-footer. He's just going to put the ball on the floor and just drive. Just try to stay in front of him. Don't get to the side. Don't try to gamble for a steal. Just stay in front of him. Make it difficult for him to get to the rim.
9-point lead as the Wingate team trying to hang on. Queens trapping on the wing. Skip pass to Baez, wide open. Can't put in another dagger 3. And Davis, Queens gets a stop. Back within 9. Davis, fade away. Got it, tough shot.
Very tough shot. I was going to say, take a good shot, don't force one. Davis, apparently that's his look. It's a little bit of a fadeaway.
Here, watch the trap on the first pass here. Here comes, Baez gets it away. Farley. The opposite wing, he got it. Farley, another bailout, huge shot for Wingate. And an air ball, and Davis just out of nowhere there.
Shot selection. Wingate works the offense. Queens is coming with some pressure. They work to get a good look. Farley hitting that three-pointer again, 35%. Doesn't take a whole bunch of those this year. He's not one of those guys that you look for him to take those threes, but again, it was a wide open look. They work the offense. Queens not working the offense.
Baez working the offense. Give him 15, making a case for a SAC tournament MVP nod. If Wingate can get to the title game, the lead back to 13. 2 huge three-pointers as Rankin's bank shot just won't go. He now 1 for 9, and Rankin and Lewis just haven't been there tonight.
Baez wanted to pull the trigger, but Coach Good was standing right there. So we go under 1:45 left.
How about Farley and Baez back-to-back threes?
And they've been impact players here in this basketball game. Farley comes in that first half and really settles down the offense, comes up with the key defensive play, gets them right back into it.
Farley fouled, a chance to equal his season high of 14 points. So Wingate with 5 players with double figures. Xavier Griffin has 8. He would be the 6th. And Baez maybe playing with a little extra of motivation there. No all-conference nod. Shaw was a honorable mention all-conference and freshman of the year. Baez right behind him. And here's Farley at the line for a 1-and-1. Misses the first. And Keith Griffin. How about that rebound?
Smart.
And the freshman Baez almost did it again. He wanted to bad.
Showing off a bit of the dribble skill right now, too. Wingate feeling it. They're playing for their regional lives. You talked about that, you know, the uncertainty with what's going on with some of the other conferences. Wingate's coming in here knowing that they probably need a resume win as it is, and I think that they can hang on here in the final minute 13. This is a resume win. Queens may not be playing right now. I think if I'm Queens, this result holds. I go home and I take a few ice baths.
A couple days off, maybe.
Just take a couple of days off.
Tournament pairings will come out Sunday night. This will be Wingate's second win over Queens, which, as it stands, is the 3 seed. As Xavier Griffin is now the 6th Bulldog in double figures, and Wingate has a 15-point lead with 70 seconds to go. And both Wingate basketball teams, as 3 seeds, trying to pin upsets. Dunked by Camps. And Withers has to foul.
Well, Queens has to go so fast, they can't really worry about trying to set up a 3-play or worry about anything like that. They just got to be able to get to the rim. Wingate's going to give that. They know that they're going to get fouled. Just got to make sure you knock down some free throws here down the stretch. I've seen crazier things happen this season. I saw one of the wildest finishes I've seen in some time. Carson Newman graced the great rivalry with Tusculum, down 4 with 2 seconds, and Carson Newman tied the game. It was just sent it to overtime. It was one of the great finishes. Now, I don't know that Queens has it in them, but there's still time on the clock.
And they give the timeout to Bart Lundy, though he called it. And the referee's still learning the new rules.
I'm still learning the new rules, too. I still call it halves and periods, quarters, whatever it may be in the women's game to the men's game. Big 3 by Withers. I think he's deserved an all-tournament nod anyway, as far as the recognition from what he has done here to close out this season. But he has been it. There's been no Rob Lewis. There's been no Rankin. Sean Morgan has been very limited. Daniel Camps has been handcuffed for the most part. And all this, I keep going back to it. I keep saying it's Wingate's defense. Something has to give. And the defense winning out in this basketball game. Queens didn't come here. They didn't turn it over. They didn't force a whole bunch of turnovers. They just have not been able to put it in the cylinder. Queens comes in number 1 in defense and points allowed, number 2 in percentage. You talked about the road to a SAC championship, playing the top field goal percentage teams in the country. Carson Newman, Queens at number 3. Now you're going to play the top scoring offense in the country and one of the best shooting teams in the country. And what gives? Right now, Wingate is not giving.
Carson Newman, 52% leads the nation. They shot 44 Wednesday. Queens, 51%. That's top 4 in the nation. Tonight, 37%. And it's Wingate's offense who's been the better for a team that doesn't score like the Tusculum's, Newberry's, LMU's, but they defend it. And Keith Griffin, 5 blocks tonight's been a big part of that.
9 field goals in the second half.
Yeah.
9.
Wingate runs the baseline to baseline play, and Baez fouled where Griffin jumped on the side baseline and threw it back in bounds. He still isn't in bounds. If a player runs in and goes after Griffin, doesn't realize he's out of bounds, and it's a technical.
Right.
So that's not – I like that call just in case you get something free.
Have court awareness. You really have to have court awareness. End of game situations. A lot of coaches will preach that. A lot of coaches work on things just like this. End of game situations. All right, we have a 10-point lead. How do we preserve that 10-point lead? What are some ways that we haven't been able to hit that knockout blow? Although I can't believe that Wingate through that stretch where they hit 4 straight 3-pointers.
Yeah. It was a 17-5 run. They hit 5 of 6 threes in a 5-minute stretch.
Yeah.
It was a tie game.
Yeah.
And Wingate went from tied to up a dozen thanks to 5 3-pointers. And, I mean, some nights those things happen.
It's 43-43, and all of a sudden that happened.
Another rebound for Wingate on another miss, and 32 seconds left. Queens is going to be going into the NCAA tournament, and no pun intended with Morgan limping. 4 out of 5 lost, and maybe this is sometimes what teams need. I mean, the year Anderson went to the NCAA tournament and won the regional, went to the Final Four, went to the Elite 8. They lost the first round as the 2 seed in the conference tournament. Lost to Catawba. Jason Taylor, who now an assistant coach at East Tennessee State, told his team to go home. They didn't make the tournament. and it motivated them, and they went on to win the NCAA regionals and went to Elite Eight. So they went in with a first-round conference tournament loss, beat Wingate that year, won the Mount of Valor regionals. So, some teams can use this, some teams can't. We'll see what this week off does for Queens. They won't play till Saturday in Harrogate.
And it helps to have a player like Denzel Jones.
Yep. Oh, there you go. Withers from downtown. He's now taken 13 three-pointers. As it's right back down to 8. Now Farley will have to walk the other way. So Withers 22 points on 7 of 14. He's 1 of 1 from 2, and that was a throwdown.
Well, for this Wingate team, we can start talking about now. We're getting to the championship setting. Has LMU done enough to be able to secure that home berth? And I believe they have. Will Wingate be there? Queens, they've done enough. Their resume was good at the beginning. It is one of those situations where Wingate feels as if this is obviously a resume type win.
Here's the Olive Garden play of the game, the alley-oop to Keith Griffin there early in the second half. Farley makes the second.
It's a good play of the game. It's making me hungry thinking about it.
18 seconds left. Rankin to the rim and scores. And it's right back down to 7. Queens not going away. And a foul away from the ball. Curitan spilled down. And he'll shoot the other way. So 3 possessions right now. That's the number there, 7 or more. And Rankin has fouled out.
Well,
Christian Withers, rather, excuse me.
Yeah, they're going to get Withers. He's going to foul out of this contest. He's played well. 22 points in the game, 6 of 13 from 3. Really became that three-point presence for this Queens team, the consistent presence after teams figured out how to defend Rob Lewis a little bit better and get out to him. They had to stop something inside, or they had to stop something outside, but they just didn't have an answer for Withers. Going to be a nightmare for this league over the next 2 years. Just to go back, talking about Wingate's done enough, I think, with this game, no matter what happens tomorrow. Obviously, you win it, you're in automatically. I think if LMU wins, it helps Wingate's cause. I don't want to.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt. Yeah, nothing hurts now for Wingate. They got to be in the tournament. And Queens will pull off the pressure, and it's going to be a 9-point win for Wingate as the Bulldogs will win it 77-68. And Brian Good, a couple of fist pumps toward his faithful. And he knocks off the Royals. 77-68 your final. And Wingate on to the SAC championship. And again, a team with 1 senior will go on and place LMU. And there's no hiding this one, Brian. They got blown out ugly the first 2 games against LMU. Maybe the third time's a charm, maybe not, but they got to be pretty confident about their NCAA tournament hopes.
Well, the way they are defensively, it's same just like Carson Newman last year. Carson Newman goes into that tournament championship game. LMU has everything, offense, everything, and they scored 48 points last year, and it was a good defensive collective effort by Carson Newman. Can they have that same type of effort tomorrow?
We'll find out. We'll have it for you on ESPN3. Wingate on to the SAC championship. They'll take on Lincoln Memorial at 4 o'clock. Brian and I will have that for you coming up then. For Brian Staten, TJ Harrell directing our entire crew, a young fan enjoying the music, and the day is complete. Special thanks to our great crew for all their great work tonight. Brian, looking forward to tomorrow. Anderson Wingate SAC championship on the women's side. It'll be Lincoln Memorial Wingate, a pair of 1 versus 3 matchups. Should be a fun afternoon. That's it for us here on the SAC Digital Network. Wingate winners 77-68.